Hello everybody, it's me, and I'm here to just say hi, and this is a video that I've been kind of wanting to do in a series of things. I actually do have an entire series of the science of Bioshock Infinite videos planned out that you should be seeing on my channel soon. But basically, in the long run, I just want to get a few things out there to start, because I think a lot of people are either not quite getting the theory I've been trying to plug this whole time, or they just don't get the details. So I'm going to highlight those details now, which I've already pointed out in my previous videos, to explain how my timeline theory differs from the standard timeline theories regarding Bioshock Infinite, which I know is silly. I think the whole idea of timeline theories is silly at times, because they're often, completely interpretable. They can go in multiple different directions. And the one thing I absolutely hate YouTubers doing is pandering to comments that they've been getting and saying, look at these comments I've been getting, blah, blah, blah. It almost seems like you're ignoring the rules of YouTube when you start listening to people's comments. But I've been getting, like, at least, 500 messages within the past, week or so that are all basically like this. Main Booker doesn't become Comstock. Booker, who took the baptism, became Comstock. That was the bleeding obvious of that explanation. Now, I'm pretty sure people who say stuff like this usually read the Wikipedia article to get the explanation. And they've separated reading a Wikipedia article from figuring something out for themselves. But there's something wrong with the Wikipedia article, and I'm going to go into it. And one of the biggest things is this wall. But I'll touch on that in a bit. But I want you to just look at this as it shows each event that happens in the game. And this is basically sitting in Comstock's airship when you board it. You see everything here, including the mentioning of the lady, Battleship Bay, Finkton, this bit here where you see Elizabeth, killing, and just everything in the game, basically, that happened is here, including going into the future and Comstock House, and then eventually seeing Comstock and killing him. Okay, so how does all this play out? How does this all work? Well, I've decided to browse around the net for people's timeline theories, and I'm actually going to first mention Occam's razor here, which is usually that the simplest solution is the best solution to try to explain something. And I know people don't like simple solutions; they like really complex stuff. I could easily say the simplest solution would be that maybe some of the writers of Bioshock Infinite really liked the show Fringe and borrowed some ideas from that, and that's how they came about with the game and the plot and everything, but that would be kind of cruel. So I'm not going to do that. But anyway, so I see a lot of timelines that look like this, and I also see some a little bit simpler ones that look like this, but they always have the split happen at the first initial baptism, and that somehow creating an alternate universe where suddenly Rosalind Lutece is male and all that stuff. And so there are these that actually start with the split being at their chromosome, and you see some cool stuff like that. And I'm actually going to give some props to them. But then I came across this. This is just ridiculous. The whole accounting for the fact that you've been through this time loop 123 times, that doesn't mean it's been you. That could mean it was just variants of you, and you're just, either the 123rd or this is the 123rd time the Luteces have bothered to count, looking at various alternative paths you could have taken. I'm just saying it just goes all over the place and tries to account for the other timelines and everything that happens, and I'm just going to try and simplify this down so that this makes sense in the context of what's happening, and that the ending makes sense in the context of what happens, because the ending also has a major flaw, which I'm going to point out. So let's go ahead and just get started on it. Let's not beat around the bush here. We got Wounded Knee. That's Booker. He's fighting. He's scalping. He's being kind of a badass, but also a little racist. Not exactly the most admirable person, and he regrets his past mistakes, obviously, and tries to maybe find some redemption at this baptism. Now, he decides ultimately to not get baptized, walks away from it, and then goes on with his life. Has a daughter, tries to start a family, but his wife dies. Now he's really down on his luck, and he's really depressed. He turns to gambling, And all this bad stuff happens, and then he just up and sells Anna to get rid of his debts. He's depressed for years. Many, 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 many years. And then all of a sudden, the Lutesses show up and offer him another way out. And so that's where the whole game basically happens, okay? So we've got the whole game. I mean, basically this. You know? He goes to the tower, falls, goes to Battleship Bay with her, goes to Finkton. She kills, why can't I remember her name off the top? Fitzroy. She kills Fitzroy. You go to the future and see the horrible things that are going to happen. You end up killing Comstock, who you later find out is you. And the relevance of him being you is something I'm about to explain. And the relevance of him having this wall and bronzing and it being based on your actions, specifically your actions, and the order in which they took place. Not the, oh, you know, instead of trying to go get the girl, like in one universe, he actually says, I ended up, finding one of my buddies from the military, and we ended up joining with the revolution, and he becomes a martyr. So none of this happened in that universe. So you can't say that Comstock might have been that guy. That's not what happened. It couldn't have been some other guy. It was you, specifically. The player. The person you were playing as. That version of Booker is what becomes Comstock in this theory. So let's get on to that. Sorry. So the whole game happens, including universe skipping twice. You basically go through two different universes, which ultimately, again, going back to this, results in this. Okay? This wouldn't have happened if you hadn't skipped through two different universes. This came about because you did that universe skipping. So why is that relevant? We're going to get to that. Okay. So then we have a big old exposition dump. And it's pretty much just blah, blah, blah. There's lots of universes. Blah, blah, blah. I can see all the doors. Blah, blah, blah. Let's try and find Comstock. But I just killed Comstock. No. We have to find him. So you relive the baptism from here. Now, some could say, and I'm okay with this idea, actually, because this actually works at this point. Some could say that by being here at this point in time, he's actually traveled back in time to this baptism. Now, the reason I highlighted this in red is because this is where the Wikipedia theory steps in. In the Wikipedia theory, the idea is that in an alternate reality, Comstock became baptized at this point. Now, if you are to genuinely accept this as an idea, and that Comstock has quote-unquote seen the future, this seems like a whole lot of future going on to me. This whole area seems like a lot of future going on. So that's one idea, is, you know, this could be it. But again, the problem with the baptism is, like I said, it requires free will to exist, which is unproven. It's not directly stated as being the cause of universes forming in Bioshock. So let's just ignore that note for now. Just ignore the baptism. But again, if you are a fan of the Wikipedia theory, this is where the split happens, not anywhere else. But so this could actually loop back to that in time, which would be cool. But you wouldn't go forward to having Anna and all that stuff, because eventually you go through another door because Liz is there. So let's just keep this as a separate point in time. So you get more exposition dump. Blah, blah, blah. You gave away Anna. Blah, 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 etc. And then you have this moment happen. Now, this is the pivotal moment of the game. This is the final act. This is the end. The real end. The serious end. The end that would end all universes. Why would it end all universes here? Why is this point specifically highlighted? Because if the split was to happen here, then you dying here would not affect that, you see. So the Wikipedia theory is that you, by dying here, affect this. But they're different instances at different parts in time. There's, you know, at this point there's a crowd of people. At this point it's just you and the Baptist. So, again, dying at this point would not affect this point. So, let's keep going. So, he gets baptized again. Let's say he found redemption. He decided to change his life. Now, he's gone through all this. He's seen Comstock. He knows who Comstock is. And at some point after this, he's decided to become Comstock. So, that at this point in the timeline, he'd have basically founded Columbia, he'd have met the Lutesses, all that stuff would have happened all over again. Because he'd have just kept on going without Liz being there. And Then he'd have gone through the tear, bought Anna from himself to get her back, the daughter he wished he could have always had but never did. Tried to have his own daughter, found out he was sterile because of all the portal hopping. Do you think it was really just the Lutece experiments? Or do you think it was all of this portal hopping? All of this portal hopping. I mean, seriously, look at all the portal hopping this guy did, especially here. I don't even want to get started on all the portal hopping. Well, he didn't really have portal hopping there. I'm sorry. Anyway, you get the idea. It's a lot of portal hopping throughout his life. And you're telling me just the experiments here made him sterile? I think it was quite significantly more than that. So, I think it was the whole game, basically. You. Again, you here. So he bought Anna for himself, went back through the tear. And he was happy for years. Well, this guy was depressed for years. And then he himself shows up. And the whole game happens. And that's where he gets offed. That's the end of his life, the end of his timeline. So all of these events encompass the founding of Columbia. So I'll just go ahead and type that in. So founding of Columbia. So that's the founding of Columbia and everything all encompassed in that range. And that includes the Luteces and everything. I'm pretty sure I butchered the spelling on that. So, all right, so that's everything. All right, let's get honest here. So, which theory seems more relevant to what would stop this from happening on the timeline? Would it be somehow this guy going on to have this happen and loop into here? So let's use a red line to represent that. So Wikipedia's theory would just have a bend there. But how do two people become one person? You know, he doesn't. So that doesn't make any sense, does it? It's kind of weird. But anyway, so let's now ask the question of what is it that stops this from happening? Okay. Lets you keep Anna so you don't sell her and you end up just, I don't know, maybe getting your life together or something. This is the moment. This is the ending of the game. As I mentioned before, this is the ending of the game. This is how the game ends. You get drowned here. That cuts everything else off from ever happening. None of this happened. None of that happened. You didn't even sell Anna. Which means that because you didn't sell Anna, none of that even happened. Literally, you just negated the entire progress of the story and the game and everything, and you just branched off a whole another timeline where you have Anna and it's a happy day ending, as is shown after the credits. So, yay. Happy ending, I guess. Maybe. Booker still probably has some gambling debts to work out, but he is a private eye. Maybe he enjoys that line of work. But again, what I'm trying to say, what I've been trying to say for forever, and I still don't think it's getting across. Even after I put this video out, people are still going to say, I don't get it. But what I've been trying to explain is that you don't need this baptism to have actually meant anything in terms of splitting a timeline. It could have been right here, where another version of yourself would have found redemption at that point after seeing everything. And that would account for this. Because it's you. It's literally you. It's why you have to die. Why else would you specifically have to die? It's not like you can just suddenly be another person. Unless that other person is going to be you in the future, in a linear timeline. So if that person really is going to be you, you know, that's it. That's all I have to say. I don't know if that came across, if that made any sense. It just, if you want to negate everything and you want to actually get rid of it, easiest thing to do is to, you know, explain that Comstock is you. The player would have become Comstock unless he was drowned here. Because the other idea, it doesn't account for why you have to die here. I mean, unless somehow you've managed to switch bodies with another alternate reality version of yourself by going back here, I don't even know. You know, there's just a lot of weirdness there, whereas this is a lot simpler. So I hope that that helped explain things. But yeah, you do whatever ends up happening, you die, which is kind of depressing. Unless, you cut this all off. So either you kill yourself at the end of your own timeline, or you get killed here. And the timeline never happens, resulting in you killing yourself. One wonders if that counts as suicide or murder. Interesting. This is the most elaborate suicide plot ever, isn't it? If you think of it that way. Alright. So I hope that helped explain things a little bit. This is basically my theory, so that's it. That's it. That's it. I'm done with the video. Goodbye. We're done talking.
Game over.